Mabuhay, Kusika. Welcome. How are you? This is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. Kind of scrambling today. We're going to talk about Adam. Thank you for being here so early. We have a lot that I can talk about, and hopefully you guys will chime in too. I wanted to talk about attraction. I mean, this is a channel about finding somebody to marry, and most of us have certain things that we are attracted to, but we're all different. So, Adam, glad you're here. And just before I get started here, by the way, the link to the article where these come from that I'm going to be going over is at the very top of the screen there. It's under the live chat section. And I listed there some, not some, all of the characteristics or traits that were from the article, and I even listed some that I thought of myself that weren't in there. So we're going to be talking about things that attract a man. Do these traits in women attract you? So before I do that, and this is Love Beyond the Sea, this is a biblical pro-marriage channel designed to help encourage people to look for a wife. I say I am trying to make marriage great again, and I feel like it's almost and just overlooked thing today instead of the norm. And so I try to do what I can to help people, what I guess I'll call it, stay on the straight and narrow and get married, because there's a reason people got married at one time in the first place, and it might have ended in divorce, but they thought marriage was a good idea, and some people try again, and then it works out better for them. So I had never been married before until I met my wife in 2015. I was 53 years old at that time, 53 going on 93, and I found somebody on the dating website Christian Filipina, which I frequently recommend. We got married in 54 days from 9,800 miles. Proposed to her on day 18, and we will be coming up in May, will be 6 years of marriage. So we're still together. We've still growing and learning. Today has been really a scramble. My wife called me and said she had a flat tire and she had to go to work. So she was late for work because I just got the message and I wasn't at home. So she took my car to work. I had somebody come over to take care of her car. I still had things to do. I just had breakfast, which is actually dinner. And that was about 5:30. I had my first meal of the day, p.m. So I thought maybe I'm not going to do a live stream tonight, but I'm just scrambling to get things done. So I feel okay enough to do this live stream tonight. So I'm kind of just stalling a little bit to allow some people to get here. But one thing I will get right to now, this big book is a book I've been talking about, just to show you how thick it is. And this book is, it's printed on both sides. Both sides. What do we have here? About got some pictures at the back of my wife and I, and it's I think 500 and was it 500 and I don't know 80 pages or 60 pages or something like that. It's got a table of contents. This is my book. It's called Meant to Be: A Match Made in Heaven, and it's basically a manual for finding and keeping a woman from the Philippines. Yes, Adam, it is a big book. It's thicker than the Bible that I have, but the print is normal print, I guess, font size 12, and I have this on PDF. I'm still working with my advisors on how to put this out there, and but I just got this today. Got the spare tire on the car, and went over and paid for this. I had it put together for me. Sadly, I've got to ship it off to somebody so they can see what they can take a look at it too. But I do have a PDF file called Meant to Be a Match Made in Heaven, a manual for how to meet, marry, and go the distance with your love beyond the sea. And I could probably make another book this thick, which I don't want to. This was a lot of work, and well, I've got a lot of material. I can tell you I've got about 283 more topics that I can do for this channel, Love Beyond the Sea. That's a lot of topics. I've got like 4 Word documents. When I get to about 550 pages, I start another one. And I'm still on the first document for going through those, making those videos. And I've got, thanks for the thumbs up, by the way. And I've got three documents, I should say. And I'm still not even done with the first one. And I've got about 90, I don't know, about 110 more to write. The rest of them are written. So just a lot of work. And because I care, I guess, that's why I'm doing this. Adam, I've got the PDF for it, but we just got this done, and I'm waiting on someone else to see how I can put this out. I don't know if it'll be free or if it'll be $7 or $8. I don't know. How to Hawaiian, thank you for being here tonight. Hope you guys are ready to talk about attraction and some of the things I listed there. We can talk about. You can say yay or nay whether you're interested in that or not. But I really, I could have shipped this book out today, but I wanted my wife to see it, and my mom is taking a look at it because, it's a lot of work, and you just grind through it like you're, I don't know, in the gym or something. You're on the treadmill, and you just dread to even look up at the timer because you got a lot of time left. Thank you for the thumbs up. But we do have this book, and really it's in order. There's like 240 articles, I don't know, a dozen chapters, and it starts from the very beginning when I was single still and had not met my wife, and what my life was like. And many of you can relate to that, to actually finding her, things that men in the West need to think about. The section on Christian Filipina, young men, dating insights, why a Filipina, scamming stereotypes, family, what you know about an age gap. Lots of articles on marriage skills, what I love about being married, living here in America. Then start to think about the end of this, retirement, my wife's future, and just some like an appendix, biblical motivation before and after marriage. This is a lot of work, I tell you what. And it's because I care. I have mine. Okay, I got married. What I care about is other people being able to either try again or try for the first time. There's a lot of competition for thought out there with MGTOWs and just marriage not being as in vogue, I guess, as it used to be. But part of the process of finding somebody is attraction. So we're not talking necessarily about Filipinas tonight, but we're talking about attraction. And I will go through the list from the article. I want you to leave your comments if you dare, I guess, things that you find attractive in women, or whether you agree or disagree with the things there and the reasons given in the research. So I think that'll be fun. I don't know. I kind of like talking about this. Oh, that's apple cider vinegar, and this is coffee. I'm going to need it tonight. So please be ready to leave some comments, and let's see if I can see those comments on the phone now. Yes, I think I will be able to. So I'm going to talk about many traits, or distinctions that men find attractive in women, according to an article from thelist.com. And I'll try to remember to put that in the description when I'm all done tonight. And this article is called Surprising Traits Men Find Attractive. Well, we'll see if you think they're surprising traits or not. And this article made me reflect back on my own experience searching for someone to marry. And it was over a long period of time before I got married and tied the knot in 2015. I knew what I liked, and I really wasn't interested if others agreed with my taste in women or not. Um, when you look around, you see different strokes for different folks. And that's very helpful since there seems to be plenty of variety out there. In this live stream on Love Beyond the Sea, I want you to leave a comment about what you think you find attractive. Can you relate to these research results? Are you different? How important should these traits be? Perhaps we could ask. Sit back and relax. And if you have not found a wife yet, perhaps something in this content will be helpful to you. So my wife checked a lot of boxes for me in 2015, or some of them. I didn't really have a lot. I've said before, don't be too terribly picky, especially as you get older. I like to talk about relationship and marriage issues here. I want to make marriage great again. And this is the channel for higher Phil West education. But for today, the topic is going to be about attraction. So let's just jump right in here. They say that beauty is only skin deep, but there's no denying that those first impressions are important ones. Ever wonder what men are really noticing and what they really honestly find the most attractive? Fortunately, there have been at least a handful of studies that have tried to find out just what men and women find attractive in their prospective partners, and it turns out that sometimes it's so hardwired into us that we don't even realize what we're looking for until we find it. So the first one on the list there was blue eyes, but then they say only sometimes. Blue eyes. Blondes have more fun, and what's more wholesome than a blue-eyed blonde? Sounds good to me. Brown-eyed girls shouldn't despair, though, as a study from the University of Toronto, that's University in Tromsø in Norway, suggests that when it comes to potential mates, it's only blue-eyed men that show a preference for blue-eyed women. Researchers asked 443 individuals a series of questions based on the hair and eye color of their current and past partners. They also presented participants with a series of photos in which the model's eyes had been manipulated to change color while leaving the rest of their appearance the same. While they found that women and brown-eyed men showed no preference to any particular eye color, they also found that blue-eyed men overwhelmingly chose and were attracted to blue-eyed women. Apparently, they didn't do any studies on green-eyed men like me. Apparently, we're attracted to Filipinas. The study also suggests there's a very practical reason for this. It's all down to genetics. The only way a child can have blue eyes is to be born to two blue-eyed parents, or to two people who each carry part of the recessive gene for blue eyes. When two blue-eyed parents have a brown-eyed child, there could be something fishy going on. Blue-eyed people don't carry the genes for brown eyes. They'd have brown eyes themselves if they did. So the reasoning goes that a blue-eyed man will be more attracted to a blue-eyed woman. The study's authors say that, conscious or subconscious, blue-eyed men's preference for blue-eyed women might be linked to one extra layer of paternity protection. It can be tough when those first few, this is the next topic here, but I want to check my phone here. Eye color, Adam says, eye color never really entered my mind for a preference. Yeah, makes sense, I'm not blue-eyed. Yeah, I'm green-eyed, and I guess I've always liked Filipinas. And that's just, there's another trait there with Filipinas that, why was I attracted to Filipinas? And we'll talk about some of those things, at least in my situation. You can relate that to yours. But eye color, I never really thought of it either. I think maybe women make a bigger deal out of that. I don't know. Honestly, do not know about that. I've never paid any attention to anybody's eye color myself. So another thing on the list they go through, this should be interesting, is an older appearance. It can be tough when those first few gray hairs show up, or when you realize that you're suddenly in the next higher age bracket. I'll be experiencing that this year. But according to a joint study between psychologists from the University of St. Andrews and the University of Liverpool, a more mature appearance is exactly what some men find the most attractive? Wonder how big that sum is. Generally, cultures have a set of norms about what they consider attractive. That's what makes a movie star universally admired, for example. Researchers wanted to find out how our personal experiences helped shape what we as individuals find attractive. So they looked at whether or not the faces we're exposed to as children impact what we're attracted to as adults. They found that it absolutely does, at least when men are looking for a long-term partner. The study found that men who were born to, quote, older mothers, meaning those over 30, which would be me, were more likely to find older women more attractive when they were looking for long-term relationships, while men who were only thinking in the short term didn't show the same preferences. There was a definite correlation between the age of a man's parents and his choice in women. Is that true for you? While the mechanism that's at work here isn't entirely understood, it's suggested that when looking for a long-term partner, there's something about the influence of the first committed long-term relationship that we're in. That would be the parent-child relationship that helps provide us with feelings of security as adults. So, older appearance, that's true, and that's all they mentioned there for that. According to this article, older appearance. Let me take a sip of apple cider vinegar and think about that one for a while. What would they mean by older appearance? Well, I suppose that would be the opposite of younger appearance, but by and large, I think most of us, you know, are attracted to younger women, and I don't know why a man would be attracted to a younger woman for a, casual relationship, but then want somebody with an older appearance. Now, they didn't say they were necessarily older in the article, although they could be, but they said older appearance, and I honestly don't know. I mean, what they mean by that. That's a good observation, Adam. I would say mostly probably. I mean, if you're talking physical appearance, I mean, I can think of older appearance with mannerisms and behaviors and things like that. It would seem more mature, but an older appearance, I mean, I don't know if that's the way they dress makes them look older, or they have more wrinkles, excuse me, or they have some gray in their hair, or their hair is shorter than longer. I'm not sure. They didn't go into that actually. You like younger, and your mom was 25 when you were born. Um, Gosh, my mom's upstairs. She lives with us. I think she was in her 30s. I'm pretty sure. I think my dad was. He was older. They're both a little older, but not old or anything like that. But that's just one of the things they mention here. Now, speaking of parents, another thing they listed in the article was similar characteristics to parents. These are things that attract men to women. Surprising things, they suggest. Similar characteristics to parents. Other studies suggest that parents' influence on what characteristics men find attractive goes even beyond age. Another study from the University of St. Andrews looked at a phenomenon known as imprinting, well known to exist in the animal world until recently largely unexplored in humans. The study looked at how likely men and women are to be attracted to certain hair and eye color in their chosen partners, and they found that for men, the best indicator of preferences was the hair and eye color of their mothers. So, Adam, we need you to think about that. Hair and eye color of their mothers. When nearly 700 volunteer participants, including 394 men, were asked about the hair and eye color of themselves, their parents, and their partners, they found that overwhelmingly men were attracted to the same coloring that their mothers had. The same correlation didn't appear when comparing their father's hair and eye color. And while researchers aren't entirely sure what's going on here, they did suggest that it's possible that the early connection between mother and son formed a sort of subconscious bond that suggests safety, familiarity, and comfort linked to the eye and hair color they first knew. Another study that's done by University of Tokyo found that men showed significant preference for women who shared something else with their mother. Height. Height. When they looked at volunteers who reported their own heights, along with their parents' and their partners' heights, they found that men were much more likely to be attracted to a woman of similar height to their mother. I've always, as far as I can remember, liked shorter women. Most women in America are not 4'11", and I'm not sure exact height of my mother, but she's not 4'11". Most people aren't. Um, you know, Mark and Nang, thank you for joining here today. And Mark and Nang says, all I can say is I'm lucky Nang was willing to look past my outside appearance. Well, that's a good point, because I think that happens a lot. Men, these physical characteristics and traits that we're looking at tonight, we either find them attractive or we don't. We might find them absolutely necessary or we don't. But women, and the physical things, there is an importance for that to them. But by and large, I think it's more treatment, it's more mentality, attitude, outlook, perspective, the ability to look ahead and take care of her future and be responsible, be a nice guy. I think those sorts of things really are more important to women. Short woman, I just, that's what I wanted. um, How to Hawaiian says, I don't have a hair or eye color preference. My mom is short, like 5'1". I prefer taller, but it's not a deal breaker. See, but there are preferences. Why do we have these preferences? I don't know. Have you ever asked yourself that sometimes? I wonder why that gets to me so much, or why I like hair a certain style. I don't know if they're going to cover hairstyles here. I don't remember. I just looked at it last night. But that's an attractive thing too. I think most women look, well, I don't know. Again, it depends on their shape of their face and their head and the eyes and nose and all that. Short hair, I think you have to have a certain face for that. Longer hair, like Filipinas, I love my wife's longer hair. It really freaked me out when she cut it the first time, but I did like it. It did look cute, and I do like cute. There's one thing I like is cute and short. So we're talking Filipina, especially when you like dark skin. Yeah, it's nice to not have a lot of deal breakers. How to Hawaiian. I just sometimes had wondered, and was 6'2". Over the years, I was looking for a wife. I shrank to 6'1", I guess, a little over 6'1", because of umpteen bad discs in my neck and back. But I always wondered, what happens? Could I marry somebody 5, 6, or 7? And I thought to myself, do I want that to be a deal breaker? Because I'm really not attracted to taller women. And here in Nebraska, we've got volleyball is huge. We've got a lot of 5'10", 5'11", 6-foot girls here. Some of them are very athletic. And I saw a guy one time with a woman that must have been a former volleyball player. She was very tall, thin, a lot taller than he was. And that's probably exactly what he wanted. Because men don't usually marry women taller than they are, but that's what worked out for them. I've always seen a guy with a shorter woman and thought, man, I wish that was me someday. And always looking for those short women, on dating sites. And I struck gold with my wife when she said she was 4'11". And I thought, wow, I've just got to have that, It was important to me. Um, Adam says physical things do seem less important to women, to an extreme at least, or excuse me, to an extent at least. Lucky for most of us dudes. That's true, very true. Mark and Nang Panais are more looking for acceptance, respect, and caring than outside looks. I think they're looking for the opposite of younger Filipino males. Good observation. Also, it's interesting that many Filipino men think Western men are more attracted to what they find as less attractive. Yeah, I've heard about that. I mean, I just, maybe it's because they're just used to seeing all these beautiful Filipinas there. And to us in the West, it's like there's so many beautiful ones. And yet the Filipinas will tell you, when you tell them they're really beautiful, which they've heard a billion times, and they'll say, oh no, I'm just average. And they probably mean it. They think they're average. They're surrounded by beautiful women, and maybe the guys don't approach them like we would, and so they get the impression that they're average. How to Hawaiian says, I agree. That's an interesting point. Deep thoughts. Why do we prefer what we prefer? If I'm attracted to Asian women, does that make me racist? Well, we won't say anything, How to Hawaiian, if you are attracted to Asian women. I definitely am. And I've always liked Filipinas. Why? Because they're short. They're short, they're small. Um, some of them just look like dolls. They're so they're so pretty. I like pretty, short, cute, long hair. Yeah, long hair is feminine, very, very feminine. However, I do have a thing for a certain short hair if it's the right hair and the right color and the right face. But you know, that's really getting picky. But we do have our preferences. But I didn't have to decide if that 5'7" woman is too tall for me or that 5'9" woman is too tall for me, because I've always wanted someone shorter. And 4'11". Are you kidding me? I'm 6'1". She's 4'11". That's about right. It works for me. Adam says to leftists today, yes, it does, Hawaiian. Everything is racist. Well, yeah, it is. It is. And can you believe that guy in New York that attacked that Filipino woman, 65-year-old Filipino woman, I think? He had murdered his own mother, stabbed her to death, um, was in jail, prison, whatever, and then got paroled, and then walks the streets and beats her up just for nothing. Just a crazy, crazy thing. Mark and Nang says has to do with skin color too. Darker skin, hold on here, is considered less attractive, and lower class, you're talking Philippines now, and lower class, lighter skin is more attractive. In the Philippines, yes, considered more upper class. Well, there was only one Filipina that I was talking to before I married my wife, and she was very dark skinned. What do they call that, morena? And I think they probably feel that if they're so dark, that looks like they're poor because they have to spend all their time out in the rice fields. Man, if Isa was twice as dark, that would be wonderful, But she has that light, dark skin. And if I walk more, I'm going to be darker than she is. She gets dark, but she doesn't get outside very much. Um, but yeah, Anna says, I always found darker skin attractive. Light to me and dark skin is super pretty. I just like dark skin. And, thinking about dark skin and comparing dark skin, I mean, there's some women that spend a lot of time in the tanning booths. I used to do that too. I used to get kind of carried away with my skin until I started hearing about skin cancer. And if you get skin cancer, it's because of exposure in your 20s. After that, the damage is already done. So I kind of had to back off. I still like to go out and get tan, but um, I never used to use lotion, and now I'm going to have to use some kind of sunblocker. I think it actually helps you get tanner, but the artificial tan of tanning beds is one thing, but the natural tan, beautiful tan of a Filipina, it's just one of those exotic qualities. And I don't know if it's even in this article, but that's why I wrote it down at the end. And we were talking about it today because a lot of guys just find dark skin so beautiful. And my wife has light brown skin. I'm looking at her picture here now, and I am very thankful for that. Short, long black hair, um, light brown skin, big brown eyes. I certainly like that. But you're right about the comment there about how they feel about their skin. I think there's just more glamour, and it wouldn't surprise me if the Miss Philippines are of lighter skin. I'd like to see I don't like to see them being ashamed if they have darker skin in the Philippines. Um, yeah, How To Wine says, I personally don't get why skin color is so important to Filipinos. They should understand uh, dudes don't care. Yeah, we have so many things that we do find attractive that we know she's going to be either light dark or medium dark or dark dark. And I haven't heard yet somebody say, well, I'm not interested in that, cute young Filipina because her skin color is, a little bit off or something like that. Mark and Neng says the preference for lighter skin is ingrained in Filipino culture. Millions of pesos is spent on skin whiteners. There you go. And that is very true. And what's that main ingredient of those skin whiteners? I can't think of it now. I can almost see it in my mind, but I can't think of it. Does it work? Well, Michael Jackson changed his skin color. I just don't know how expensive that would be. So those are, yeah, some things that attract our attention to a woman from the Philippines. And Mark says, Neng is very conscious of being out in the sun. She says she will get negra, the Tagalog word for dark. Well, my wife says the same thing, Mark. She doesn't like, I wondered why her vitamin D was so low when she got here, urging her to go to the doctor again for their annual checkup. I think a lot of people have low vitamin D, but she was in the Philippines, so maybe she just didn't get out much. And she was working, and maybe it's just too hot. They don't want to be out there unless they're going to the beach or something. But she certainly likes to cover up. And you're right. I've heard that also, that they're very conscious of being in the sun, and they think it's a terrible thing. Like, you're poor, you have to work out in the rice fields, where someone with lighter skin is not dark because they have an office job or something like that. So, but yeah, we don't, definitely, Filipinos, if you're listening, watch this later. We do not quite think that way as men. Let's talk about this one now. Maybe this relates to you, resonates with you. The right sense of humor. A sense of humor is high on the list of traits that everyone says they look for in potential persons. Really? But according to a study published in Evolution in Human Behavior, the sort of humor men and women find attractive is surprisingly different. When both men and women were asked about the traits they looked for in a partner, both groups reported a sense of humor was equally important. Personally, it was never on my list. But when the study looked a little further, they found that while women valued both the ability to be funny and to appreciate the same sort of things they found funny, men were a little more one-sided with what they found attractive. The men surveyed didn't rate funny women as any more desirable, and instead, it was receptiveness to their own sense of humor that they valued, these guys. In other words, men wanted someone who's going to laugh at their jokes. For men, it wasn't as necessary that women be able to make them laugh. They were looking for someone who appreciated their capacity for what the study called their production of humor. When men's responses were broken down by the type of relationship they were talking about, the results were even more drastic. When it came to dating and long-term relationships, it was even more important for men to find someone who appreciated their sense of humor. While funny females were better for friendship and short-term relationships. Um, I just cannot take that call. So about humor, I mean, what do you guys think about that? I hear women a lot of times saying, "Oh, the guy's got to have a sense of humor." I don't think I've ever heard of a man say that. Maybe I will tonight. How to Hawaiian says a sense of humor is really important to me. So to how to, that is important. Um, Now, and maybe this has to do with each person's personality. I mean, you would think with me being more serious and intense that I would like someone with a sense of humor to balance me out, that I would find that attractive. But, it was just never on my list. What's attractive to me, and that's probably not on this list here tonight either, is not someone with a sense of humor, but with someone that is not as intense or serious as I am. That doesn't mean they have a sense of humor. It's just, they're not as intense. To have two intense people living under the same roof, I think would cause trouble. So I need someone that's softer, like my wife, not a big sense of humor. I have only known, I don't know, maybe a couple women in my life that really were the funny type, and that's all. But that's great. How to Hawaiian sense of humor is really important to you. And that's probably something you can pick up pretty quickly on a date. Um, somebody with a sense of humor probably likes to laugh, and when somebody can make you laugh, that certainly puts you at ease. I can see that it's an attractive quality, but it was never something I was consciously aware of that I was looking for. Adam says, "Oh yeah, sense of humor is important. Me and Carmela laugh together so much when we talk. It's not a deal breaker by any stretch, but it's nice." Yeah, my wife doesn't even understand my sense of humor most of the time because, well, because I'm so intense. So then if I say something funny, it's like a lot of people don't get it. It's because most of the time I'm not that way. And I appreciate these comments, everyone. Mark and Neng says most Filipinos have that trait of humor. A good humor is a social lubricant. In Pinoy culture, tense situations are strongly avoided. In a poverty culture, you learn to laugh at problems. Funny you say that. Okay, I need to answer this. Please bear with me. Hello, hon. Oh, well, it's fine. You can read my text messages. I'm in the middle of a live stream right now. Okay, sweetie. I wrote down all the information for you there, and we'll talk about it later. But you're in good shape. Well, I'll take the car in tomorrow, though. Bye, sweetie. Okay. Um, Sense of humor. Mark says no reason to dwell in the negative. Might as well joke about it. Since I am so intense, sometimes my wife tries to diffuse it when I get upset by like laughing or being silly. And it took, I don't know, probably 3 years of our marriage before I realized that she was doing that because she knew I was upset, but she was, I think, 50-50 trying to laugh at it like Kamala Harris does when asked about a serious situation. Just kidding about that. But, she would laugh at it to try to diffuse it. And then, so I don't get too carried away, and then just try to slow me down. And it was more a mechanism to get me to stop being so hot tempered, I guess, over something. Let's say a money issue, that makes you upset, or a surprise. And so she, I guess, does that too. I don't know. It's a weird thing. I don't quite understand it. I think she's trying to help me by laughing, but it's not what I'm used to. Mark and Neng says, I find too most Pinoys don't laugh at my humor either. The humor is very simple, like Three Stooges humor. I was just thinking about the Three Stooges earlier today. Um, but Filipinas are not really into conflict, so I can see them laughing to try to avert a confrontation or something like that. And maybe it's cultural, maybe it's just my wife. I don't know. Main thing is here, I need to learn to not be so upset sometimes. Marriage is a marathon, not a sprint. Here's one I can definitely agree with. It's called the right head tilt, and I won't demonstrate it because it doesn't work for me. The right head tilt. According to a pair of Australian researchers, one thing that men find surprisingly attractive, you tell me what you guys think, is a simple one that anyone can do. Just tilt your head the right way. I will not demonstrate. They took a series of faces that were manipulated to appear as though they were being viewed from different angles, and volunteers were then asked to rate the attractiveness of those faces along with how feminine or masculine they were. They found that women were most attracted to, that men were most attracted to faces when women tilted their heads forward enough that they were looking slightly up. I like it when they tilt their head to the side, but it has to be just the right angle. I don't know if that's 45 degrees maybe. The results were significant and suggested that nothing more than a simple adjustment to the way we carry ourselves could make someone measurably more attractive. They suggested it has something to do with height, and that when a man sees a woman who tilts her head forwards and looks up at him, she's presenting herself to him in such a way that accents height differences, and in turn traditional ideas about masculinity and femininity. Well, I mean, to me, it looks cute. A woman tilts her head. I know it just makes me feel good. Any of you guys into head tilting? I think in a picture it looks better. Yeah, there's something about it. I don't know what it is. How to Ryan says found that sarcasm goes over like a lead uh, balloon, right? Balloon. Subtle humor is hit and miss, but slapstick is a huge hit. Yeah, that's something we have to work on with our Filipino wives, and I'm too subtle, I guess. I got to act more blatantly silly. How to Hawaiian? I can't do the head tilt because I just can't. I can't. Uh, I'd like to do the demonstration for you, but I don't know, making me nervous here. I really don't want to. I don't want to do that. But the right head tilt at the right angle, probably about 45 degrees, maybe not quite. And the speed that she tilts her head, and the smile that she puts on, and she tilts her head. I'm telling you, devastating. Absolutely breaks down all defenses. Um, just the right head tilt. It's a very dangerous weapon in the arsenal of some women. And where are we here? It went back up. So that's my description of the vaunted head tilt. You'll have to use your imagination, but I can't pull it off like some women can. Here's one I don't really relate to: taking hunter-gatherer risks. And they show a picture of a woman here rock climbing. This one, they say, goes both ways, and it turns out that both men and women find certain risk-taking behaviors incredibly attractive in potential mates. Personality traits that include being open to certain risks were rated as highly attractive to women, but surprisingly, men were attracted to women who were a certain kind of adventurous. According to a study done by the University of Alaska Anchorage, men and women were attracted to those with personality traits that allowed them to take part in and enjoy what they call hunter-gatherer risks. That includes activities and dangers similar to what our ancient ancestors would have faced, like skiing, mountain climbing, whitewater rafting, and other outdoor activities. Well, those are things we usually think of as being attractive when a man does them. The study found that men are also attracted to the same behaviors in women. Being attracted to risk-taking behaviors only went so far, though, and it was only ancient risks that were found attractive. Taking modern risks were definitely seen as less attractive, and that meant everything from driving without a seatbelt to dabbling in drugs. So that's one there, hunter-gatherers, I never really thought of. Yeah, how to, you're right, you're right. I don't want to end up in a chiropractor's office trying to give us a demo. So there you go. I could, but I do not want to seek medical assistance if I can't correct that head tilt and make a very awkward finish to this live stream. Chip Shot is here. Hi, Chip. Chip is a jockey, and he is going to go out and meet his Filipina as soon as anybody can go to the Philippines. And so I empathize with Chip. I want to go too with Isa, but I think April 19th maybe is the next day that something was supposed to go until the April 19th. And so maybe there's an adjustment coming. I don't know. Mark and Neng says, just don't tap a strange woman with your fingertip to get her attention, or you're in really big trouble. Yeah, these days, you don't want to do that. Adam says, waiting to see Carmela. Let's all pray God will let us over soon. You know, it's hard to know whether things are getting better or worse. Sometimes I hear about statistics here in the United States, they're getting better. Then maybe it's getting worse. Maybe that's a different strain. I know Southeast Asia and the Philippines is having a little trouble. You guys that are wanting to go sooner, I really feel for you. We don't plan on going till December, and a lot can change. And hopefully, if you guys plan on going in the middle of the year or after, things will open up and you'll be able to do that. How about this one? Anybody relate to a high-pitched voice? Now, you don't want to probably date someone that sounds like Darth Vader, but let me read what they say here about high-pitched voice. And I am attracted to a voice. I've even said a couple times before I was married, a long time ago, when I was just talking to somebody, just a stranger on the phone, like, I don't know, call the electric company, or you're at work and you're talking to somebody that's in another area and you need help with getting logged in. And if I really liked their voice and it was really attractive, I would just tell them. I'm thinking, what do they look like? I wonder, probably nothing like I think they are, but a good, soft, feminine voice. I really like that. Yeah, tapping a strange woman with your fingertips, that would be risk-taking, wouldn't it? How to Hawaiian risk-taking, that's an interesting one. Woman who is adventurous is attractive. Yeah, I mean, if the guy is along those same lines, he would look for somebody like that, probably over a librarian. And so it's not necessarily the job that would be turned off to some men. It would be that the job would suggest a certain attitude or mindset or willingness to do different things. And maybe there's a correlation there. I don't know. But, I really wasn't looking for someone that is adventurous, because I wasn't. I'm more of a, work as long as I can and then go to the gym and do whatever I could do after that, and try to go to bed pretty tired and wake up early and do it all over again. And I guess I was just more down to brass tacks, and I didn't really have a lot of fun. I also didn't have a woman to be adventurous with. But my wife and I, we've gone to Paris. We've been to the Philippines like 3 times together. We want to have a big trip later this year, as I alluded to. We've been up north, we've been to the south, and that's fun to me. It's not really adventurous. Most people would consider it boring, perhaps, but for me, it's adventurous, and so it is fun. So I guess adventure can be different degrees of adventure. Adam says, I don't really like high-pitched voices that much. You like a woman with one of those pretty voices, though. Yeah, I wish there was a demonstration of high-pitched voice, and I'm not going to do that either. Try to demonstrate this feminine, attractive, high-pitched voice. Yes, how to Hawaiian, it can certainly be attractive. But what's feminine for others could be a little bit different. So let's see here. I don't think I've read this. Okay, I didn't. Let's see what they're talking about. While you might think that a husky voice would be a sexy one, they say, studies have shown that what men are really attracted to is a higher pitched voice. According to one study done by University College London, high pitched voices were found to be almost universally more attractive to men, mostly because of the features, figure, and youth they imagine to go along with the voice. I agree with that. I'm laughing because I'm kind of feeling silly and I'm thinking really, really high pitched voice. And that's distracting me. I don't think that's what they mean, but it's hard to tell. I've never thought of an attractive female voice being high pitched, um, but that's what they say here. But I do agree here. The features, figure, and youth that they imagine to go along with that voice. Um, some women with soft voices, they sound like children on the phone. Um, and I remember one time there was a woman. No, was it a man? No, it was a woman, older woman, pretending to sound like this is a Law and Order episode. Now it's coming back to me. Older woman pretending to sound like a young child, and she did, but she was an older woman. And if you heard her voice, you'd think, "Wow, it's either a young child, very young, attractive woman," but it was an older woman. She just sounded young, but just that they sound young. That can maybe make a difference to some guys. Volunteers were asked to listen to a series of voices and then rate them based on their appeal. And researchers found, excuse me, that there was sort of a sweet spot in pitch. I thought so. Men rated high-pitched voices more attractive, and I will not demonstrate, but only to a certain point. When the voice got too high-pitched, the attractiveness declined. I would think so. By the end of the study, they concluded that in order to be most attractive, a voice should be moderately high pitched and, get this, slightly breathy, all which reportedly signaled that the speaker had a small frame. I will not show you what the breathy speech is like either, but it suggests youth. It suggests that they had a small frame somehow, and that's all good. Anna says, did I read that already? I don't really like high-pitched voice that much. I do like one with one of those pretty voices, though. How to Hawaiian, I agree, a feminine voice can be very effective, or attractive, rather, somewhere between Edith Bunker and Phyllis Diller. How to Hawaiian says, ooh, boy, that is high-pitched. Edith Bunker and Phyllis Diller. Well, yeah, I'm not sure what they mean here. I wish they would mention somebody in particular so we can kind of know, like How To did, what we're talking about here for high-pitched voice. Now, they say, weirdly, they were also able to draw comparisons between their results and results that had already been found in the animal kingdom. There, males and females often have different pitch and tone to their voice, as they're used for different reasons. That further led the team to the conclusion that men prefer moderately high-pitched voices, not only because of the physical qualities they imply, but also because they impart the idea of submissiveness and make confrontation seem unlikely. So yeah, if you're going to go out with somebody on a date and they kind of sound like, Mr. T, then maybe you kind of feel like, well, maybe they could be too confrontational. And there may be something to that, really. If your voice doesn't fall into the realm of moderately high-pitched, there's no need to fear. According to a study from the Journal of Evolutionary Psychology, women who are talking to a man they're attracted to speak in a higher pitch without even realizing they're doing it. How do you like that? How To Hawaiian says a chick with a low voice is automatically suspect. Yeah, there's degrees of low voices. The suspect voice is like, I'm not sure that's even a woman. And then there's some women who are definitely women, and they just have voices that are a little bit deeper. And to be honest with you, sometimes I can even find that sexy. But for the most part, it's that Filipina baby, soft, sweet voice that just, that's what I like. Now, how about this one here? Ovulation. Ovulation. And why they mention this. The science behind this one is pretty fascinating. And while ovulation might not be a specific trait, it is linked to some traits that men find attractive, according to a study in the journal Hormones and Behavior. Men were more likely to rate women as being the most attractive when they were at the most fertile point in their menstrual cycle. Obviously, women don't walk around, you know, with their fingers in the air, counting their days in their menstrual cycle. At least none that I know. There have been a huge number of studies done on this, and there have been some fascinating discoveries. As women approach peak fertility, voices get higher in pitch, body odor changes, and becomes more desirable. And it's even suspected there might be some sort of incredibly discreet change in skin or lip color. All things men have traditionally found more attractive. In 2007, a University of New Mexico study found that fertility even seemed to impact the tips made by professional lap dancers. The tips and another study done by researchers from University of Göttingen, is that right, in Germany, got similar results. Men were asked to watch silhouettes of women dancing and to pick out the more attractive women based only on their movements. Overwhelmingly, they chose the women who were at their most fertile. And they did the same thing when they were asked to choose the most attractive silhouettes of women simply walking. Researchers suspect that hormonal changes that happen in the body at times of peak fertility change some things to appeal even more to men, allowing them to pick up on fertility unconsciously. What do you guys think about that? I have no reason to doubt that. I think it's I would say very true. And I have read women tend to dress differently when they're ovulating, and who knows, maybe they're not even sure why, but they just do. They're trying to attract a man, trying to show them they're fertile, and there probably is something to that. Now, how about this one? Again, the perfect WHR. Do you know what WHR stands for? If that's on your list, I'll give you 10, 15 seconds for somebody to see if they can answer that question. If you're looking for the perfect WHR, it's not a radio station. WHR. Anyone know what that stands for? If it's going to be on your list? WHR stands for waist to hip ratio. When it comes to overall body types, we always hear it's the hourglass figure that's the most attractive. That might not be entirely true, though, according to research done by professors at the University of Texas. It's only the last part of the traditional trio of measurements that really matters. Professor Devendra Singh took a look at the differences in how male and female bodies store fat, coupled with indicators of health and fertility. She found that when women have a waist to hip ratio of between 0.67 and 0.8, they're thought to be the most attractive to men. So if you can discreetly get out your measuring utensils and see if they have a waist to hip ratio of between 0.67 and 0.8, or just ask her what her waist to hip ratio is, and see what happens. You might be able to find out. She conducted a series of experiments and not only surveyed men as to what shape they found most attractive, but also looked back through the last decades at everything from Miss America contestants to Playboy models. The overwhelming majority of the men she surveyed agreed that the most attractive shape had to do with that magic WHR number, no matter what their age group was. Other studies show that no matter what the actual size of a woman is, it's the ratio that's more important than the weight or build. From women like Beyonce to Kate Moss, it didn't matter how much they weighed, it was the ratio that men found most attractive. Waist to height, well, WHR, hold it. I think it's waist to hip because they were just saying it's the third waist to hip ratio. And up there it says waist to hip ratio, WHR. So good guess, but it's waist to hip ratio. And yeah, how to Hawaiian, you need to make an app for that. Oh yeah, I got to make a note of that somewhere. Something maybe you can just kind of discreetly hold your cell phone up there and click a few buttons and you get that calculation, and then you maybe go up and ask her out on a date or something. But you know, at the gym, I see women that, I don't know, they wear these yoga pants and some of them have nothing in them. They're like wearing nothing. And then others are padded. It's kind of bizarre to see some of the things women are wearing today. And there are women that do body modification on their hips, which would alter, the waist to hip ratio. But I don't know. I don't know. I mean, they could be attracting some men, but then not attracting some other men who would have been attracted to them the way before. That would be a good app if I could do that. Adam says, good first date tips. Ask her if she is ovulating and bring a ruler to measure her waist. That's sure to impress her. Well, at least she'll hopefully go away thinking this guy has a good sense of humor. Or she'll just say, there's a reason this guy is single. I don't know. I'm just trying to tell you what, some men find attractive, some interesting, unusual things that they find attractive. Mark says, lots going on in our human bodies and brains we don't understand. That's right. You may not know why, you're attracted to certain things. Then again, you might, and a lot of it, I think, does go back to, that wonderful time in your life when you're very, very young, everything is new, and maybe something, you're attracted to when you're smaller, it just sticks with you, and it just does. How to Hawaiian says, Adam, not creepy at all. How about this one? How about personality? They say personality really does matter. When it comes to figuring out which traits are going to be the most attractive to potential partners, it's easy to focus on the physical. I think we all agree. But studies have shown that personality traits like kindness really truly do make a person more attractive. One study done, remember that one at the University of Westminster, polled 2,157 male students to find out what they found most attractive. There was no body type or shape they found to be more universally attractive than any other. When men were supplied with personality traits, though, those traits made them select a wider range of body types and sizes that they said were attractive compared to the selections they made on physical appearance only. That's very interesting. Another study from a group of Chinese universities found similar results. They took both men and women and asked them to rate the attractiveness of a series of faces based only on appearance. 2 weeks later, the same group was given personality traits along with the faces, and positive traits made faces more attractive. They even gave it a name. the halo effect. So, what are some of the traits connected with an increase in physical attraction? Here in this article, they list honesty, respectfulness, and a positive attitude. That's a good one. And a lot of Filipinas, they have a positive attitude, very attractive. Almost all positive personality traits have been shown to have a positive impact on what men think and how attractive they view potential partners, leading some psychologists to suggest as much effort should be put into the personality component of first impressions as the physical one. And as I read that, I thought, when you see a woman, let's say she tries to make a first impression with her appearance, her hair, or body, makeup, clothes, that almost says something about her personality, doesn't it? That she thinks that's what she needs to do, and that will attract men, whether it's the right man or not, I don't know. But the thing is, and the Bible talks about that. Beauty is vain. It's fleeting. It's not going to last. But these personality traits, you can even extend that into, like ethics or morality. Those things, spirituality, those traits are going to last, and they can get stronger, and they can get more attractive, and I think you want that in someone as you get older. How to says, I totally agree. Personality changes the attractiveness up or down on any person. It's amazing how that is. When you see someone that's attractive and then you see them acting, very unattractive, that kind of sticks with you. But someone with a pleasant personality, that kind of grows on you, I think. Adam says, favor is deceitful, beauty is vain, but a woman that fears the Lord, she shall be praised. And she should. Now let's talk about this one here. Average features. Average features. When it comes to facial features, there is a certain set of characteristics that seems to hold universal appeal. According to the book, Falling in Love, Why We Choose the Lovers We Choose, cross-cultural studies have shown a decided preference for women who have big eyes. Take inventory here. Big eyes, small noses, and full lips. Another study where men looked at pictures of women from beauty pageants and college yearbooks found that women with baby faces, small eyes, nose, and chin, and stereotypically sexy women, high cheekbones, brows, wide pupils, and a broad smile were consistently ranked as the most attractive, regardless of race. And I don't think race is going to come in here, but we're talking about features, and I suppose all races have, basically the same features and mannerisms. But yeah, big eyes. I mean, why? Youthful. I always tell my wife she has big brown eyes. Uh, Small noses. Now, I mean, if your date could be mistaken for Jimmy Durante, then you could be attracted to that. That's the thing about physical attraction. It doesn't make any difference what one person what works for one person. A person is. I think it's best if they find somebody they are attracted to. Um, you know, they could look like Carl Malden. He has a big nose, right? And if that's what a man likes, that's what he should look for if he can. But they say big eyes, small noses, full lips. Now, obviously, here, as I look at this, I realize women can take this overboard. You've seen those pictures, haven't you? Hollywood stars didn't look bad at all. Didn't Meg Ryan do something like that? She used to be so cute. And then they modify their, you can't really modify your eyes, but you can modify your nose, get a nose job, get a lip job, and if it gets butchered, then goodness, why mess with something like that? What's going on inside? These women already have uh, fame, popularity. A lot of them have money, enough to modify their appearance, but it just ends up being affected, meaning it's just, overdone. Adam says, "Oh yeah, I do like the full lips." There's the who is it? Isa likes her. Angelina Jolie. She likes her movies. So if there's Angelina Jolie movie on, I usually have to go up and watch it. I like watching movies with my wife. She likes Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie. Now her lips are her lips. I would imagine she hasn't touched them or done anything to them. And there's women that say, "Wow, that looks great." And so they try to modify their lips to look like hers. And I just think it's dangerous. Kind of the way I feel about the coronavirus. How do we know what's going to happen in the future? 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? Are they going to have to do it again? And I have a feeling that each time some kind of plastic surgery is done, that it gets worse. The effect is worse. It's less attractive. Um, Nose jobs can really, what I'm thinking is, trying to say is, you're born a certain way with certain features. And I don't know. I mean, that there's a whole lot. I don't know. Unless there's like a deformality, I guess I would be hesitant to want to fix it just because that's the way I was made. That's the way I was made to look, these body parts. Um, and so if you try to fix it, it might end up being worse. And some people have completely ruined what they've done to their appearance because they're trying to look more attractive. Well, who are they trying to look more attractive to? And are they looking more attractive? I don't know. That kind of scares me when, if I was going out with someone and they were talking about changing their, lips or their nose or, whatever, a boob job or something else. I mean, I don't know. That would kind of be a red flag for me personally. How to adds full lips are the hotness. However, those fake puffed up lips look terrible. Well, I mean, boy, it's got to be a very fine line between too puffed up and looking affected and just plump and right. I always told my wife I love her luscious lips, and I'm honest about it. I think Filipinas, some of them, I don't know if I just never paid attention to lips before, but some of their lips are just so gorgeous. Just very luscious lips. I love my wife's lips, and they're totally natural. I would not want her to do anything at all to affect those lips. How about this one? Let me know what you guys think. This is just from the article there, linked at the very top. A medium bust line. A medium bust line. While it's often thought that bigger is better when it comes to breasts, studies have found that this isn't actually the case. It turns out that men are like Goldilocks when it comes to busts. They like them neither too big nor too small. Instead, women with the most attractive bodies are those who have medium-sized breasts. Do you agree with that? This doesn't mean that men aren't attracted to larger breasts, though. Starting to laugh again. A study from the 1960s had men rate 105 nude silhouettes. Most of them ranked the ones with medium bust lines as more attractive than those with small or large breasts. In spite of this, those same men still idealized women with larger chests, a find that was backed up by two more studies in the 1970s. I started to chuckle because I used to, years and years ago, many years ago, used to go to basketball games when I had really good seats, first row, second deck. And so you're kind of overlooking, second row, I guess I don't know. And but there's this guy that always walked by with his wife on the floor level. Walked by on the floor level. He'd walk from like one end of the arena almost to the other, and then up who knows how many rows. And she had the largest breasts. And I kept thinking to myself, when is this guy going to show up with his wife? I assume it was his wife. They went to the games for many years, like I did. And I don't know. It was just kind of it was just funny. Um, I guess I was thinking, what is he thinking, and what is he thinking about what everybody else is thinking every time, every time they would walk by together. Mark and Eng says, don't go looking for big breasts in the Philippines. You would probably be disappointed. Yeah, I mean, some men are into the breasts, some men are into their butt, other, waist. Everybody's different for whatever reason. I know a guy that was a friend of mine. He liked tall women, volleyball track women, just tall, probably somewhat muscular, athletic. He liked the athletic type, and I don't think they're going into those sorts of things here. But I just thought I'd mention it. I mean, I appreciate that when I see athletes. I always like watching. If I see track and field, I say to myself, boy, those women, they're getting so toned. Even in the gym, you see women just really, they work harder than the guys do, I think, and they really take their bodies seriously sometimes these days, and you know they work out. They take it very seriously. Uh, How to says, bust size not a big deal for me. Yeah, I don't. Again, it's one of those things I can appreciate, but also that doesn't mean to me it would be a deal breaker. Now, some men, it's like that's the only way it has to be. Like it doesn't matter what the woman is going to be like, what she's like with money, what she's good with relationships or problem solving or communication. They just feel like a certain size chest and everything will be fine. Well, that's called fantasy. Um, Even if she has this so-called medium-sized bust line, that doesn't mean she's going to be a great wife. So you always have to balance, what we're attracted to with the qualities that really make for a good wife. They continue fashion runways are dominated by slim women with small breasts, but society still seems to prefer more curves. The bra industry supports the notion that bigger is better, which is perhaps a driving force in men idealizing larger breasts in spite of an underlying preference for medium ones. It wasn't too long after the modern bra debuted in the early 20th century that padded bras hit the scene. By 1948, push up bras, which further accentuated the breasts, became popular. The average bra size has gone up in America and England since the 1990s. And it says, due to what? Largely thanks to breast implants. Breast implants. That's what I was going to say is, women are doing things to their butts, their breasts, and I just don't like that. I mean, I just I just don't. I don't understand that why a woman would do that. I guess I don't know. I don't understand it. Um, yeah, Mark and Nang says a loving smile is the sexiest attribute. And I would agree, Mark, especially when combined with that deadly head tilt that we talked about earlier. I mean, she can just change your world and make your mind stop working with the properly executed head tilt at the right angle and the right smile. It's over, done. That can happen. Women's pole, women's pole vault. How to Hawaiian says. I need more coffee. Yeah, and there's different sports that like the track and field and um, some tennis players they have, they're really fit and athletic. And I just, you don't even, I want to put that on your to-do list. I mean, your must-have list, because they're so rare. They have to be really dedicated athletes, and they're often very dedicated, to what they're doing. Now, here's one we probably all agree on: good hair. Good hair. Thanks to a 2013 survey conducted by a dating website, how do you pronounce that? Zusk.com, which was Zusk. Say that in the morning about 10 times and loosen your mouth up, which was detailed in HuffPost. We have a lot of insight into what makes men tick, at least when it comes to hair. They could always just ask me. Out of the men surveyed, 89% said that hair is the first thing that men notice in a woman. Is that true with you? First thing they notice is her hair. Well, I would agree. It's hard not to notice it. But 89% say that's the first thing. I like good, beautiful hair, though. This find is particularly interesting since 71% of women surveyed that they don't expect potential love interests to even notice their hair. According to the survey, most men prefer women to wear their hair down. And 29% said that they want the quote sock bun hair trend to die out. I'm not sure what a sock bun hair trend is, but wearing their hair down, I just think women can do so much with their hair. I don't know why they would think a man wouldn't notice it. They certainly do a lot to their hair to get women to notice their hair. How to Hawaiian says, I agree, good hair is important. They can do so much with their hair if it's longer, of course. If it's shorter, there's less you can do. And some women can pull off short hair. They got that short, boyish hairstyle. But they look really cute. That's hard to do, probably especially as you get older. But longer hair, you can put it to one side. You can make it curly. You can make it wavy. I just tend to like, my wife's long black hair. I know she's going to cut it eventually. She says it gets heavy on her head and all that. Um, um, and so that's fine. Eventually I'll have to brace, she'll cut it. But I like how she cuts it when it is short, because it's not that short and it really looks nice. And then it's just going to grow and get longer. But they can do a lot with their hair. And I find hair very, very, very appealing myself. Men that said they are turned off by greasy hair that has too much product in it, and hair that is dyed an unnatural color. This backs up scientific findings, which have shown that men, at least on the subconscious level, look at hair as an indicator of health. I guess I fail on all these subconscious things. I just think it looks good, but it just looks good on its own, I guess. Healthy women typically have lustrous hair, sure, which from a biological standpoint indicates the ability to nurse offspring or potential offspring. Good hair provided an evolutionary advantage, and that preference still carries over today. I just said think it looks good. Yeah, how to? I agree with you. The pixie look can be cute on some, can be just devastating on the right face. But they're hard to find. Now, one thing that we can all agree we see more of these days in women, like this woman pictured here, almost looks like a Filipina. Tattoos and piercings. This will be interesting. Tattoos and piercings. While the typical man is not a fan of unnatural hair colors, by the way, I am okay with certain wacky, crazy hair colors for reasons I don't know. I guess because I'm such a serious person, I tend to be attracted to the opposite. So if she's got pink hair or something like that, I like that. And that's just because I'm so intense. I like something more weird and feminine, I guess, and cute. But I like that. But I think personality goes into some of this too. So again, so yeah, while the typical man is not a fan of unnatural hair colors, the aversion to body modification does not extend to tattoos and piercings. A survey conducted by AskMen.com and HuffPost asked men what they thought about tattoos and piercings on women. One of these days, if I haven't already, I'm going to do a video on tattoos and women's clothing, apparel. I've just got so many videos to do yet, I can't even find it, but it's in there. Now, get this, more than 1,300 men were surveyed. Out of them, 69% said they would be attracted to a woman with a tattoo, and 55% said they would be attracted to a woman with a piercing. What I find interesting about that is I've looked in other message boards and seen comments on different channels, probably my own too, is that most men there seem to be quite against going out with somebody with tattoos, almost dead set against it. Body piercings, no. At least that's what I thought. But according to this study, yeah, 69% say, got a tattoo? No problem. 55%, oh, you have some kind of piercing? No problem. What do you guys think about those piercings? Adam says, it's been fun. Got to get out of here right now. Well, Adam, thank you for being here and thank you for your comments. And hope to see you again sometime. Piercings, tattoos. Continuing with this article, men said that the most attractive tattoos are on the shoulder, upper back, while the most attractive piercing by far, with 61% of the vote, is a belly button piercing. I have to admit, I can see some appeal in that. The preference for tattoos and piercings didn't reflect the body modifications of the men surveyed. Interestingly, only 32% of the surveyed men had tattoos themselves, while only 13% had piercings. Yet they would prefer or want to or be open to going out with somebody that had tattoos and piercings. Maybe people say things to some people and say something else to other people. I don't know. A study conducted by someone, I will pass on their name, at the university I will also pass on, found that men often perceive women who have tattoos and piercings to be more promiscuous. Do you agree with that? More promiscuous? In the study, women with tattoos were approached more than twice as much as those without visible tattoos, and also made contact much faster with tattooed women. Well, I have to tell you, I'm not really surprised by that. Myself, I'm not really, it's hard to say. See, on the one hand, I could say that I might want to go out with somebody with tattoos and it wouldn't bother me. On the other hand, I would kind of wonder what that all represented and why she would do that. Something permanent. Did she do it because her friends were doing it? Young women are often influenced by what their friends do. I don't know. I'm kind of, I think it could mean they make bad choices, or they sometimes struggle with good choices. I don't know. I can't really say that I've ever seen a tattoo I thought was attractive in itself. So I'm not sure what they're trying to accomplish. If it's just a tattoo, it's just that a tattoo supposed to make them look better. I don't know. I've never asked any woman why they had tattoos. How to Hawaiian says it, in my opinion, depends on the type of tattoo and or piercing and where. Yeah, they do piercing on about anything these days. And yeah, it might depend then. I mean, where it is, how big it is. I know my sister, when she was younger, got talked into getting a little tattoo on her hand, just little thing. I don't know, like a circle or something. I don't know. And she tried to get it removed, but I don't think they were able to do that at that time. That I guess now they can use some kind of laser treatment maybe and remove them. Um, but yeah, that's something that men say they are attracted to. Now this next one here, I have to be real careful not to look at this picture because it's quite powerful. My goodness. The next thing they list here is long legs and long legs and high heels. Let me scroll away from that picture. When it comes to legs, it's all about the legs. Remember Rod Stewart's song, "Hot Legs"? How to? You might be old enough to remember that one. Um, it's all about the legs or the length of legs. Studies show that men prefer women who have a longer leg to body ratio, which might explain the popularity of high heels. Always a good thing. The most attractive women, according to men, are those who those who are short but have long legs. Women with this body type include Scarlett Johansson and Marilyn Monroe. A study at Poland's University of Wrocław found that legs that are 5% longer than the average were the most attractive. So if you have this ruler that can measure hip to waist ratio, see if somehow you can find out if someone's legs are 5% longer than average. Or maybe you'll just know that those are the most attractive. Psychologist Boguslaw Pawlowski, the lead researcher on the team, told New Scientist that, quote, long legs are a sign of health. Martin Tovey of Newcastle University said that long legs do not just indicate good health, but also good childhood nutrition. Since women's legs stop growing when they hit puberty, if a woman has long legs, it suggests she grew up in a good environment, and that has a positive effect on fertility. What do you think about that? One more look at those legs here. Now, here's another one on the list. Shorter than them. Shorter than them. In general, taller people tend to be viewed as more authoritative and successful. The idea that taller people are more powerful dates back to ancient times. Ancient Egyptian wall paintings clearly equate height with power, while prehistoric tombs have been found where skeletons of taller people are placed in crypts, while those of shorter people were buried in mass graves. In spite of this, men seem to prefer shorter women, or at least prefer women who are shorter than they are. Even more paradoxically, one study found that in the Western world, the women who have the most children are those who are of below average height, a pattern that surprised evolutionary scientists. Rebecca Sear, an evolutionary ecologist, quoted in a book that the tall women have wider pelvises than shorter women, which allow them to have easier births and higher birth weight babies, both factors that reduce infant and maternal mortality. There might be evolutionary advantages to picking a taller woman as a mate, but both men and women seem to prefer for the male partner to be taller than the woman. And they speculated this could be due to social norms, which expect that the man will be larger than the woman, but also could be due to men wanting to appear to be more dominant in the relationship. And so there we're talking about height. I certainly like, as I said before, a shorter, smaller woman. I don't know. I think probably most men, well, not most, a lot of men are taller than a lot of women. But there are times when they're the same height, and a man who is shorter than a woman he might be interested in might be hesitant to ask her out. I don't know, being 6'2" at one point in my life. I didn't really have to be concerned about that. But I mean, maybe if I was 5'4", and would I still be so crazy about women that are 5 feet tall? I don't know. I just think I always thought 5'2" was a perfect height for me. If I had to have something, if I had to choose between a woman that was 5'2" and 5'1", I'd choose the 5'1". If I had to choose between 5 foot and 5'1", I'd choose the 5 foot. But I don't know if I'm vain or that's just something about me. I don't know, but I'm just saying. Now, how about this one? Surely you guys can agree with this attractive trait in a woman: the right kind of walk. What's that Bob Seger's song about strutting? It's not enough to have the right kind of legs or be just the right height. Nope. According to some studies, men want women to walk the walk too. A swinging gait reels men in. Researcher someone found that women who are menstruating have a tendency to subconsciously change how they walk, showing their gait in a way that men seem to find more alluring. The way a person walks is unique to them and can convey a lot more than simply getting from point A to B. One of the advantages of a person's gait being used as a measure of attractiveness is it can be spotted from a distance. Very true. Biological anthropologist Helen Fisher told Cosmopolitan that the walk is just one of the ways human women have developed to get and keep a man's attention as we've evolved. They say this particular gait is similar to the way a model struts down the runway. Head up, shoulders back, arms swinging loosely with swiveling hips. And while that might be attractive, I can't say I've ever seen any woman do that. I could demonstrate that for you here, but my back is a little sore, so I will not be able to demonstrate this gait. But I'm sure you have an idea in your mind what it would look like. But now that I think about it, I think the way a woman walks could show something about her personality, which could be very attractive. Now, since I tend to be on the intense side, I'd probably be attracted to somebody that was walking a lot more relaxed and carefree and casual, whatever that would look like, rather than, bustling around. You know, um, I mean, I can't even stand still. When I go to the grocery store, I'm always pacing back and forth, just in the line where the cashier is. It's just hard to sit still. I just want to move on, get out of there, and do the next thing. But somebody that's slower, more casual movements, to someone like me, that could be very, very appealing. Um, how to Hawaiian, the right walk can be very attractive, and it can something you don't always think about. Now, I don't know how many are left here. I appreciate everybody that's still here. And let's see how long this has been going on, if I can find my way back here. Okay, quite a while, but I'm still here for a while. We can still talk, chime in about what you find attractive. How about this? The color red. One of the stranger things that attracts men is the color red, they say. The color has long been associated with love and passion and is considered an alluring color, especially big here in Nebraska. Go Big Red. For a long time, scientists thought, little did they know, that this was because the color red subconsciously made men think of women's genitals, leading to sexual arousal. A study from the University of Kent in the UK debunked that theory completely, blew it away. However, by showing 40 men pictures of the female vulva, which had been manipulated to be different shades of pink and red, the men rated the reddest shade to be less attractive than the pink shades. While this disproves the theory of why men are attracted to the color red, men are still drawn to the hue. Researcher Dr. Sarah E. Johns, University of Kent professor of evolutionary anthropology, hypothesized that the color red may trigger a competitive edge in men. So maybe men are more competitive about women in red and therefore desire them more. I don't know, man. Have I ever been attracted to color of clothes? I think black. Black is, I think, can be very attractive on a woman. I think if she's got dark skin, light brown, medium brown, dark brown, maybe most anything looks good. But if I had to pick a color, I would probably pick black. So, how about this? Who can argue with this? And the woman here in this photograph definitely has the perfect smile. No question about it. Very slight head tilt, really good there. Could be a little bit even a more tilt, and that smile would be even more devastating. But the perfect smile, it's no great revelation. Her hair is kind of crazy, but perfect smile. It's no great revelation that a winning smile can attract a man, but women who are going to employ this tactic might be surprised to learn that their smile has to be a big one. Specifically, you need to bear those teeth. But it's not just men who are attracted to women with a toothy grin. Women also said that they place a high importance on teeth. Market Tools Inc. conducted an online survey of 5,481 from Match.com. Both men and women said that the very first thing they notice in a potential love interest is their teeth, followed by the grammar. Now, the earlier mention there was men noticing hair first by a wide margin. This study was notice their teeth first and followed by their grammar. So I can see that. It's not necessarily the first thing I'm looking for, but yeah, that's what they notice first. I always notice their height. Very first thing, their height. Are they short? If I'm looking at a picture of, I don't know, 5 women, maybe it's just any picture or a women's team or something. I always look for the shortest one. Don't even, I mean, intentionally, I'm looking for the short one. Who's the shortest woman or woman in that picture? Because that's what I'm attracted to. That's why one of the reasons why I was attracted to my wife at 4'11". I'm just going to look for the small ones. And when I've seen the small one, I probably don't look at the taller ones and they may be, drop dead gorgeous. But I can't help it. I like the shorter ones. So their first thing noticed is their teeth, followed by their grammar. Since teeth are the result of both genetics and environmental factors, getting a peek into someone's mouth can give you an idea of their general health. So if you can get close enough to a woman that you can notice her waist to hip ratio, and if you can measure, if her legs are like 5% longer than normal, and I can't even remember the other thing. But if you could somehow do this, that would maybe save you a lot of time. I don't know. In women, this is linked to their reproductive value. Healthy teeth indicate a healthy person who is capable of childbearing, which explains, at least from a biological standpoint, why teeth play such a major role in human attraction. How to says, never been attracted to a color. Yeah, I haven't either. I mean, the red dress, yeah, I don't know. If I had to be attracted to a color, it would probably be, white or black, I guess. And that's kind of my personality too. So that those two I would find interesting. But this next one here is a deal breaker for me. I have to say, after 1 hour and 48 minutes, we have come to the deal breaker for me. How wonderful. Are you ready for this? Small feet. Small feet. I don't know why this would be an unusual thing, because I think men, without even having to read this, have always been attracted to women with small feet. Let's read here what they say in this research. Small feet have been associated with femininity and beauty for centuries. The Chinese practice of foot binding goes back to the 10th century, and it endured for 1,000 years. Young girls would have their feet broken and bound so that their feet would be tiny and therefore attractive. This would permanently cripple them, preventing them from walking comfortably for the rest of their lives. Wow. While people don't go to such extremes for small feet today in modern times, dainty feet are still considered to be attractive by men, at least indirectly. I just flat out say they look good. A study well, some of them do. It depends on the foot, of course. There is this ratio of small toe to big toe. I'm just kidding. A study conducted by the University at Albany in New York showed men a composite face made of the faces of women with small feet. Why didn't I think of that? They found it to be more attractive than the composite made of the faces of 8 women with large feet. The men didn't just overwhelmingly pick the composite of the small footed women as more attractive, but were also staggeringly more likely to say it was more feminine. That's what I'm talking about. Evolutionary, that's a thing. Jeremy Atkinson, who conducted the study with colleague Michelle Rowe, said men might find the features of the women with small feet more attractive because they indicate a healthy childhood. Who thinks of that? Women who have had a healthy childhood don't reach puberty as early and end up growing for longer and developing more typically feminine features. Small feet, yes. I like small feet. Anybody else out there like small feet? How to says feet size not much of an issue to me as long as they are well taken care of. I don't want to deal with. You don't like those talons? Um, yeah, too many hammer toes do it for you or not do it for you. Um, yes, while I like small feet, and by the way, I have big feet, and I don't think they're attractive at all. I have like what, size 12. At work, my steel toed were 14. I think my walking shoes are 14, just so you don't lose a nail all the time. But I have big feet, not particularly good looking. I'm not going to attract any women out at the beach with my big bare feet. But small feet, probably the first thing I look for is her feet. And, a lot of people are like that. I just admit it. Um, if she's got small feet, I'm making a list. But then again, small feet that aren't taken care of, the nails are are too long, or I don't know. I just, I know, why do I like small feet? I don't know. Always have. And my wife has small feet. When she said she had size 5 feet, I said, "Will you marry me?" Well, I didn't say it like right away, but couple that with her short stature, her long black hair, big brown eyes, luscious lips, light brown skin. You can see why. Oh my, how to Hawaiian says, same here, size 13. 13H, bear claws. Foot modeling is not my future. Me either. I mean, I could probably chase thieves away with my feet. But small feet, I do like that. Now, here's another one. This is not on my list, by the way, but it is on some. This is being a dog lover. Being a dog lover. Men who have pets take a prospective date's interest in animals very seriously. A 2014 survey by Match.com found that men are 4 times more likely than women to use their pets to attract a date, using their furry friends to lure in fellow animal lovers, as reported by HuffPost. While cat lovers seem to be okay with a partner no matter what pet they have, nearly all cat owners surveyed said they would be open to a relationship with a dog owner. Dog lovers are far more picky. Only 66% of people with dogs said they'd be willing to date someone with a cat. It seems then that the best way to score a date with a guy who loves animals is to love dogs. It seems that men aren't just exhibiting a preference for cats or dog either. It turns out that 57% of the men surveyed actually believe that the kind of pet a person has says quite a bit about their personality. Who knew that dating was such a dog eat dog world? Well, if she had snakes or lizards or tarantulas or some kind of exotic animal, I probably would not be interested. Dog, cat, I don't know. I just don't like, I guess I'm not a pet lover. We didn't have pets growing up. Maybe that's why. Um, we'll see. Maybe in the Philippines. I don't know. And here's the last one of this particular list, and I did name some others that I hope wrote down somewhere because we're a long way from the top of the chat log there. So the last one here from this article, and let me know what you think about this one. Having a certain smell. Now, that's not, I'm sure they're not talking about this woman I used to work with. Uh, she was a little older. And I'll tell you what, this perfume, if you could call it that, that that she wore to work every day, it smelled like embalming fluid more than perfume. I just thought, holy cow! I mean, and you could smell it, 90 feet before she got there. It's just absolutely incredible. And if you had to, sit next to her, I tell you what, I don't know how you did it, but I don't think we're talking here about the choice of perfume. And let's see what it says. One trait that men are attracted to is one that many of them likely don't even know about. A study conducted in Switzerland that was published in Proceedings of the Royal Society B, Biological Sciences in 2018, found that men who are attracted to women are more likely to be attracted to the smell of a woman who has high estrogen and low progesterone levels. The study came to this conclusion by having women donate, so to speak, their body odor by sticking cotton pads under their arms overnight and then having men rank their scent from 0 to 100. According to evolutionary theory, men seek out women who can successfully bear their children, which is likely how the attraction to this trait came about. Reproductive hormones are indicators of a woman's fertility, explained lead author Janek Lobmeyer of the study's findings. And the higher their levels are, the more attractive the woman is to men. So if you can somehow get close enough to, maybe put a needle in and extract some blood and run it to the lab and see what her estrogen level is and what was the other one, progesterone, maybe then, you can put that in your list of things and see if she is someone you would go out with. But having a certain smell, that's kind of a hard one to notice for me, I guess. I mean, I've never thought anybody smelled good. I've had good cologne on some women, but body odor, I don't know. Never really thought about that. How to says animal lover is a must. Hard pass on a cat lady though. And the right smell is attractive. A freshly showered smell with the right perfume. Yeah, perfume is good. Where did I pass by somebody the other day? And thank you for the thumbs up, by the way. Maybe it was a gym. I don't know. Maybe it was a grocery store, but she had this nice perfume on, and it's always nice. But they might have been, and that is nice, sure. It's attractive. But again, it's very personal. What smells good to one person doesn't smell good to somebody else. I always liked the smell of, gasoline or cigarette smoke. Other people think that's deplorable. But then there are people that like the smell of skunk, believe it or not. I just think that's hard to believe. We uh, we rented a room in the state park here a month or so ago, and we were still up watching TV or playing with our phones, and a skunk was went by, and it was just terrible, absolutely terrible. And I went to the front desk, and they gave me some spray, and it was just awful. But I told my wife, some people like to sit out there, and they actually enjoy the smell of skunk. I'm going to throw up if I think about that. That's just terrible. Um, who doesn't like the smell of gasoline? How to? I always, since I was a kid, when we walked to elementary school, we had to walk, um, 6 miles uphill both ways with ankle weights in the snow and ice. No, but we did have to walk about a mile in elementary school. I think I started at 4, but we were given rides in the early years. But we had to pass a couple of gas stations, and so I just it always smelled gas. They'd have these gas wars, for like, I don't know, 15 cents a gallon or 20 cents a gallon. And just growing up, I always smelled gasoline, and you know, just smells good. But the right perfume could end up smelling like turpentine to some people, or it can smell very good. I mean, who knows? It could smell good once she puts it on, and then once it gets in her skin, it could change. I don't know, but I do agree. If a woman, first of all, it shows that she cares a little bit. If she's going to put on some nice smelling cologne, or I guess that's for a man, perfume for a woman, it shows she cares. And since I like the smell of certain things, that's important to me. I always make sure when I go to bed with my wife that I'm clean. I shower, also because I'd rather not do it in the morning. So I'd rather get up and start faster. So I get all clean, and I might even put on some deodorant, and I might even put on some cologne, just because I like to smell it, and I want her to to think it smells good too. So that's kind of big for me. Now, some other things that real quick here before we close. Um, the language that somebody uses. I mean, I know some guys could be attracted to bad language, but I notice if on her language that can attract me. If she's pleasant, but if it's a bad language, that's a big turnoff to me. If her songs, I mean, not her songs, if her words are, like some gangster rap song, it's like, yeah, that's a big turnoff. Glenn Pendleton, thank you for joining us here tonight, Glenn. I hope I'm a real gentleman. I hope my wife feels that way. Bad language turn off for me too. Yeah, I just don't like that. I guess it indicates, it indicates some kind of, I guess, problem with being able to either accept reality or just deal with certain things. And I certainly don't want to hear it all throughout my marriage. And since I tend to be kind of intense, believe it or not, I can really be loose with my lips sometimes, and that will get me the cold shoulder, and I have to do better. And honestly, it's something I've been working on here since we got married, and not any time. It's just the times when I get really upset. It's not something I do all the time, but it's still one time too many. And my wife always calls me out on that. But yeah, bad language is a turn off, and it can also show that maybe this person is just immature. Some people may like that, but again, what we are attracted to in a casual encounter, someone we're not serious with, could be different than what we are attracted to in somebody that we would like to marry. And Gary, you're right. Filipinos do respect honorable men. I said earlier, they're more looking at, the character traits, how they are going to be treated. And how to Hawaiian, you mentioned accents, and that was actually on my list too. And I'm a little surprised it wasn't in the article. Um, Accents can be very exotic, just like, skin color can be exotic. Or I don't know, the facial features of a Filipina. It's amazing how God made the human female face. It's got two eyes, it's got lips, nose, ears. You don't they're not even part of the face, but it's just a simple face, and you can have so many varieties of beautiful, sexy, sweet, lovely, you name it. Just tweak the facial features just a little bit, and but accents too, just the way the voice sounds, and the tone of voice. We talked about voice earlier, high pitched, low pitched. I like, I've always liked a soft baby type voice like my wife has. One time somebody called her, or she was talking to somebody on the phone about something, some kind of customer service, and she answered the phone, and then they said, are your parents there? Because they thought she sounded like a child. Um, so anyway, it didn't bother my wife at all. She didn't even flinch. But I like the soft, baby, cute voice. But some women with deeper voices, a little bit on the sultry side, can certainly be attractive to me too. I mean, it can. Generally, it's a softer voice. But the accents, the Filipino accent, I really like, and I don't know why. I guess because it's different. I don't hear anybody else in my world, you know, talk like that unless we're with some other Filipinas, and I like that. I like her accent. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Absolutely. How about well, we kind of talked about skin color. I certainly like the darker women, light dark, medium dark, dark. Yeah, how to says no one wants to be with a harpy. Um, and the personality is important. It's possible if they're young, they could grow out of that and mature, but it's better to be with somebody that is a little more on the mature side, and or just have a bent that is not towards losing their temper and swearing at everything. That gets old. You know I'll see YouTube videos, and it's like, why is cussing necessary so often? It's just not. It's just a bad habit, um, that we need to break ourselves. Now, did we talk about intelligence earlier? I don't think so. Glenn says not playing tempo. We need to talk it out. Absolutely. And over time, Glenn, are you married to a Filipina? Over time, it should be less often this tempo, um, because earlier on, you're not going to likely get into situations that are really stressful and cause a lot of conflict. My wife and I were hardly even together until we got married, because I married her on the first time to the Philippines in 2015. We met, we got married, I flew back. 8 months later, she joined me, and we'd be married 6 years come May 10th. So unbelievable. Sixth anniversary is coming up here, and we've learned and we've grown. I just want to encourage people here at Love Beyond the Sea that we'll talk about all kinds of things related to a relationship. Like I started the video with, I had this book here. It's called Match. I should own book here. I should know. Called Meant to Be a Match Made in Heaven. By 560 pages, front and back page. It's a manual for how to meet, marry, and go the distance with your love beyond the sea. Yikes. I tell you what, this is like a New York phone book. I've got pictures in the back, about 20 pages of pictures, but the rest of it is all like what 240, I think, topics. Many I've made videos out of, and I just got this today. Just not sure yet. I've got a PDF I can give out. I just not sure yet if it's going to be something I just give out or charge for. I don't know yet, but I do have a hard copy. It's probably the only one I'll ever have. I'm going to send it off to somebody so they can look at that and see if maybe there's some way it can be used. But it is very important to me, and can't always talk about Filipinas. I just want guys to get married. I want to help make marriage great again. It used to be the norm, not anymore. So I want to talk about things that have to do with, relationships and attitudes and attraction and getting along in different situations. We talk about age gap and all kinds of things here on Love Beyond the Sea. And this is my book. I just picked it up at, where did I get it? FedEx. I just had them print it for me. And then I'm going to ship it off to somebody, and they're going to evaluate it. But I do have a PDF file that I can give out. I just have to figure out how we're going to do that. But this does matter to me. I'm making these 730 videos. I got 100 and some podcasts. I haven't mentioned the website yet, lvbts.com. It's usually in the bottom of the thumbnails, lvbts.com. That has stuff here related to Love Beyond the Sea, and podcasts can be found there, and some other things. Intelligence. That's another one of those things, how to, that for me, I've just kind of avoided. It just hasn't really been on my list. But now I'll clarify that, but I wanted to talk about, I wanted to answer Glenn's comment here. Glenn says, retired Oklahoma fireman wanting to move to the Philippines. Well, Glenn, hopefully you can get out there and see what it's like for yourself. It's always going to be a shock, unless you've been to other places in Southeast Asia. This time of year is extremely hot because I went there in April for the first time in 2015. We got married in May on Mother's Day out there. Very, very, very hot. But I'm hoping to be able to get used to that, and may or may not retire in the Philippines. There's just too many things right now up in the air with that. But intelligence. I would, my wife is smarter than me. By the way, I should say, my wife is smarter than me, no doubt about it. And when we play, I have a superior vocabulary. It's one of the few things I do well, naturally. Average IQ, but I'm good with words. And my wife, when we play Boggle, we usually split, or maybe she wins a little bit more. With that game, you got to form as many words as quickly as you can while the hourglass is running. And man, she beat me like the first 4 times we played. And she's good with words. Of course, she kind of cheated because she had played, earlier in her life, and I'd never seen the game before. But Scrabble, that's my ideal game because it's got to do with words. And I like learning words. It's not hard for me. I like words. And so, but my wife is very smart. She went to college. She's going to start taking classes here to help her in her job situation someday. And that could be very useful if she stays here for a long time, or even possibly can transfer over to the Philippines and help her. But I'm supporting her on that. And, coming up here, she'll be a very busy woman. And, but I support her because I know her reasons for it. And it'll still be a test. She hasn't been in school for a while, but she's very bright, very smart. And it is a good thing. It's not something that I was looking for. In fact, I mean, occasionally you'll find someone on a dating site and they haven't graduated from high school. They don't have their, well, they probably had to go to work and support the family. A lot of times they have a high school degree and no more. And, but again, you could have a high school degree and be very intelligent. You could have a college degree and not be very smart. So, but if you're intelligent, I mean, that's not a bad thing, not a bad thing at all. If someone kind of has a big ego about it, then that's a bad thing. But I agree with you how to intelligence. You say it's attractive to you, and I admire intelligence in women. I don't know if I would say I'm attracted to it, but I do admire it. And my wife is smarter than I am, so that's a good thing. Glenn says you've been to Mexico 19 times. Maybe similarities. Hard for me to say, Glenn. I haven't been to Mexico. So Glenn's also looking for a sweet, good-hearted girlfriend. No more Western feminists for me. That is that is a problem. The other day I was in the gym. I just got there, and you can't help overhear people's conversations. And there were these two guys. How old were they? Probably 30s, maybe 40. Hard to say. I'm getting older than everybody anymore. I'll be 60 this year. But one guy was really complaining how his wife just never home. No, actually, he was complaining about a friend of his wife. She was home, but she would never have the food cooked. Dinner was never ready. The place wasn't cleaned up. And like, oh, I just want to come home and have dinner ready. So maybe she works at home, but he was just saying his friend is beside himself because his wife isn't, cooking and stuff like that. But a Filipina, they take great pride in their house. My wife loves to make this house look like a home. I tell her that all the time. You can probably see in some of our videos in the Just Us playlist. There's probably about 180 videos there of just us and our place. And, this place that you can see here in the background, this is our basement. Nothing was in here before, nothing at all. And it wasn't painted, and there was no furniture, and nobody had been here. And this is our place. My wife and I, we spend most of our time down here, but we do go upstairs, of course, to eat and stuff like that. But Filipina, they can make a great housewife. They certainly want to be mothers, Glenn. So that's just something for you to think about. They do want to be mothers. Thank you for the compliment. In fact, I'd taken some money out of retirement and it wasn't showing up. And so they found out why today. They said they never heard it happen before. Apparently, a few days ago, I turned 59 and a half. And in the system, it didn't know what to do with it because at 59 and a half, you don't have to pay 10% early retirement fees, taxes, I guess, penalties, whatever you want to call it. And it kind of threw off the coding. And so it just kind of kicked it back out. Like, where's the money? It should be here by now. And, well, it's because I turned 59 and a half. So just celebrated my 59 and a half birthday. And I just thought today about making a video one of these days. It'd be like thoughts on turning 60 in 60 seconds and just rattle them off and make what they call a shorts, a short video about 60 seconds or less. Age gap relationships, Glenn, are much more normal in the Philippines, common. Having said that, a new doctor I found or I talked to a month ago, I mentioned I had a young wife or something. I don't know how it came up, but he said his wife was 30 years younger than he was. I didn't ask him if she was, from the Philippines or what country. He was like 54, 55, so she must be 24, 25. Here in the United States, he's a doctor. I mean, some women are attracted to, or some are more interested in older men. It does come down to treatment. No woman wants to be married to some guy with six-pack abs, 6 feet tall, six-figure salary, and belittles her, talks down to her, calls her names, is not considerate of her, and isn't kind to her, and holds grudges. No woman wants that, no matter how attractive or wealthy he is. Yeah, I was thinking about maybe just using one word adjectives or something, or just doing it real quick. Um, I haven't jotted that down yet, but I need to, because the other day I had a topic and I'm pouring myself some water, and then all of a sudden it's gone. And I need to just write these things down, even if I have to write it on my hand or something, because once you forget it, you might not get it back. But they are more normal in the Philippines. Um, I've done videos. I've got a playlist on, what's it called? Younger Wife, I think. It's about age gaps. They're not automatically going to work, and I would say so many things are the same that I talk about for Westerners and Filipinas, and for older men and younger men with Filipinas, or with other women that at least aren't feminists. It comes down to your treatment and your regard, and how she thinks you feel about her. If she trusts you, if you make her feel safe and protected, and you're not, you're loyal, an older guy can get a very stunning Filipina. But again, it's not automatic, and so a lot of my videos are about practical ways to earn her respect, and to treat her, and how, she, like in the last video series I did about how a woman can show love to her husband, 100 different ways there. And don't feel bad about saying, hun, I really need to know that you appreciate what I do for you, or how I work for you, or how I provide for you, or what kind of a lover I am, and stuff like that. And so many things you just have to communicate. Glenn says, in the gym every day, no women my age looking very fit, more like cows. Well, there, yeah, a lot of the women in the gym I've just joined are like college age, and feel like I'm on campus or something, with some of those women. But keeping yourself fit and healthy is a good thing. Um, I mean, it's never a bad thing. Glenn, no treatment with respect, very important. Yes, respecting each other, not controlling them. You're younger. If you have a younger Filipino wife, she's not your daughter. She's not your little girl. She's not your slave. She's not your employee. She's your wife. And so I think that's just a good perspective to have. And you're going to upset her, so you have to apologize. She's going to upset you. Likely she will apologize, and the two of you will grow. And it's like I told my wife or somebody the other day, it's like calluses. I got these calluses. So my wife says, "Why are your hands so rough? What's with your hands?" I said, "Well, hon, I just joined the gym, and I'll bet it's from grabbing these dumbbells and cables and stuff." But it's like that in a relationship. You need um, some spats, some arguments, some disagreements, some very important talks and discussions, and apologies. And then over time, because marriage is a marathon, not a sprint, you hopefully have these things happening less often, because you know it's going to incite them, and you know how terrible that feels, and so you learn how to handle it better. And so you should be getting stronger. The first couple of years, Glenn, are going to be the, probably the most difficult in marriage. And I think dating is fine, but once you get married and you're living under the same roof, well, then it kind of starts over. Something starts over, because you're going to be in different situations, and it takes it up a level, and then you just learn how to adapt to each other and be good to each other. And you just don't want to throw away all that experience. I've heard women say, like at work, they would say, you know, I would just hate to start over again. I hate to start dating all over again. They're with their husband, their boyfriend, they know who they are, they get along, they've built up a lot of credits, over time, and they just hate to start over. Um, Controlling your emotions is very important. And when I talk about that, it's significant because I've had a lot of trouble controlling my emotions because an emotional person. That's probably why I like music so much, because it's emotional. That's what it's for. That's what it's supposed to do. And if I want to get in a certain mindset, I just have to go to my playlist and go to those songs that I know will put me in a certain mood. Um, Whether it's certain songs to work on my articles, my scripts, to think, or different songs. If you're in the gym or you're going walking, you just want to meditate. I like music, but my emotions can get the best of me. And who is better to put a stop to that than a wife and tell you, cut that out. So I agree with you there. And let's talk about, well, we talked about accent because How to Hawaiian mentioned that. So for you gentlemen that are still left, how about one more that I thought of that was not in that article, and that is muscles. Muscles. A woman with muscles. I always tell my wife, "Hun, you have no muscles. You have no bones. You're so soft. It's just all flesh. I don't know how you can even move your arms and legs because she is so unbelievably soft." Um, but you see women in the gym, they're obviously athletes, um, or they were athletes. Um, is that attractive to some men? That wasn't even on the list, which surprised me. They must not have asked them. And I think, you know, firm, muscular build or body on a woman can be attractive, but just like anything else, it just depends. And we all have different points of what crosses the line from being athletic to being masculine. And then it's a turnoff. It's like we were talking earlier about lips. Well, they're nice, luscious lips, but they're getting a little bit too puffy. So that's not good. Or the voice might be, oh, I like that sultry type voice. It's a little bit deep, but if it gets any more deeper, not good. So muscles, yeah, I mean, it can be attractive, but I have seen women, girls, really, well, they're women, young women, like 20, 22 years old, and they're, I don't know, looks like they're trying to become a man. I mean, not fit and athletic, like, volleyball, basketball, even some golfers or tennis players look really fit. But they look like they're trying to become men, and maybe they are on steroids. I don't know. It's like, why in the world, would they want to do that? Glenn says, yes, fit women turn on to me. Uh, Find a girlfriend in a gym in the Philippines. Well, I'll let you know, Glenn, if the girls even go to a gym there. If we go to the Philippines in December, I'd like to see if there's a gym there. I'd like to see what it looks like in the gym. I really don't know. I don't know what kind of equipment they have. I've been doing a lot with bands and what do you call it, cables. Pleasantly surprised at how much you can do with those things, and how hard they can be if you use the right technique. Yeah, muscles, they can be attractive, but it just all depends. I mean, it would be a turnoff to me if she, felt like, well, I got to be in the gym 3 hours a day, 6, 7 days a week, because you can't sustain that necessarily as you get older. And some women, um, they keep their weight so low in their, that they can't. It affects their ability to have children. If they get too lean, but nice, slender, and muscular, like kind of a volleyball player, that can be very attractive. But then again, those type of bodies are hard to find. Glenn says, I know a lot of nice condos have gyms inside them. I'm sure that's the case. I want to see if there's a gym. Well, I'm sure there's gyms in Davao City. I'd like to just go in and check it out, maybe work out in one, maybe do a video and say this is what it looks like in here. But yeah, these are all things about attraction. Now, I'm sure I have on my list to do possibly a live stream on things that women find, surprising things women find attractive about men. I think that would be nice to do one of these days. We'll try to keep mixing in Filipina and Westerner videos. I just thought of 20 more topics the other day. I had them written down, so I added them to my list. We'll just keep talking about anything dating related, relationship, marriage, that sort of thing. Yeah, gym video, maybe get somebody hold the phone. Hopefully they don't run off with it. Hey buddy, take a picture of me here on this bench press. Get done, look up, they're gone. So I guess you have to trust somebody first before you give them the phone. But that's something we may not even be able to go. I mean, we'll go if we go. I mean, if they allow people to go. I just don't want to go and be quarantined, because when you're spending a lot of money to take that much time off work and you're going that far away, you don't want to be quarantined for 14 days. Yeah, online dating, you should be careful, Glenn. But it's hard because, you can easily be smitten with someone and their physical qualities, their femininity, their soft voice, their laugh, their smile, their irresistible head tilt and stuff like that. And or the way they laugh, I guess. There's another thing, it wasn't mentioned. Sometimes a woman could laugh in a certain way that's very attractive, but somebody could laugh in a way that's very unappealing too. Even a laugh, can be appealing. Sometimes we're just like dogs. So many things can appeal to us, but you're talking to a woman there, and it can get addictive in a hurry. Yeah, lots of cute, stunning women, really, in the Philippines. Yeah, you don't want to promise love until you're ready to make that commitment, Glenn. And it's fun to talk and get to know them, and it's easy to have a lot of women there to chat with. I found my wife on Christian Filipina, turned down probably 200 chat requests in the first couple days, and just tried to compile my list and then do some video chats. Met my wife, got engaged on day 18 and married on day 54. Been married now for almost 6 years. So hopefully you can get there and see. Do you see somebody in person? Have you contacted anybody else yet, Glenn, before I sign off for tonight? Or have you just started looking for a Filipina? I mean, you could spend 2 years just chatting with women there, because it's so much easier in the Philippines than it is here in the United States. I'm a veteran of 4 dating sites, 2 of them twice, and I can tell you'll get a lot more action on an activity on a Filipino dating site. Yeah, how to Hawaiian, a bad laugh can be a deal breaker for me. If they laugh like Horshack on Welcome Back, Potter. Do you remember that show, How to Hawaiian? Could be a turnoff. But then again, you think about it, it's not the most important thing, and shouldn't be a deal breaker. But somebody's laugh can be very, much a turn on too. Glenn says, I have women quickly saying they love me online. So I tell them, let's just chat and not get serious. I tell them, time is our time. Time is our friend. Um, yeah, that's a red flag. Hey, welcome back, Cotter. You got that right. How to Hawaiian. Uh, Gabe Kaplan. Who else? John Travolta, of course. Horshack. Um, the other guy. Oh, and then who's the black guy? Freddie. He was real popular back then. Freddie somebody. I can't remember his last name. I just browse online, never talk to anyone. Well, when you're ready to talk, you'll find out that there can be some challenges in communicating. I'm trying to think of that one actor's name now. I can't. With And my wife and I mean, I'm used to it now. I mean, her English is getting better. It was fine. There are just some times when I read something and it's easier for me to understand my wife when we're talking. I have no trouble at all if we're in person or doing a webcam like in the old days. But there are some times when she'll type something and I'm not sure. Um, Hopefully you guys will be able to do some video cams because I just think it's a lot easier to misunderstand each other if you're just texting back and forth. Is she angry or is she not angry? What does she mean by this? Maybe she meant the opposite of what she said. So it's all part of communicating with someone from a different country, and it can be a way to grow with each other. Just be patient. And Glenn says, I have video called. Yeah, good to get that first one out of the way, break the ice on that first webcam. Can be a little nerve wracking, but usually I found that Filipinas were very pleasant. Not like they were scared at all. Like they probably had done it before, or they just weren't really nervous about it. And on my website, lvbts.com, designed by Mr. E, there's a place on the top about 4 groups of questions to ask when you're just starting to break the ice with a Filipina. And if you, to gauge compatibility, another one to know if maybe she's one you should propose to. And then there's a 4th list of questions for even after you are married. A lot of those I still haven't even talked about with my wife. Yeah, it's good that you love meeting new people. You're going to have a chance to meet a lot of them, Glenn. Trust me, over there in the Philippines. And just focus on being a good guy. Um, you know what a good guy is. I mean, people think, oh, you're just a simp if you're looking for a woman. You're just a simp if you can't find somebody in the United States. You're a loser if you can't find somebody where you are. Well, then a lot of people, men in their 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s, are losers because they can't find anybody either. Just like I couldn't until I went on Christian Filipina, and now I'm married. Now, at the time I got married, I wasn't appreciably a different person than before I was married. I'm a lot different now after almost 6 years of marriage because I've been married and I've been forced to learn and grow and mature because that's what marriage will do. And that's a good thing, by the way. But it wasn't like there was this drastic makeover when I met my wife. She was looking for a serious person, and I was serious and wanted to get married. And so we did. I don't recommend that to anyone else. I mean, some people have done that. It all depends. There's no one size fits all. Yeah, be the best you can be. Find a good one. Look for the things that are going to last. If you want to be married for a long time, look for characteristics that are going to be there a long time. The things that don't change, the things that tend to get better. If you're a high character person, you tend to uh, retain that throughout your life. Not focusing on that, need to accumulate to the new environment first. Glenn, you're talking about the Philippines? You're going to go there first and not return to your country? Or are you able to go back and forth for a while? the thing about that is if you're working, it's getting time off work. And of course, the more trips you make, the more expensive it is. From here, it's 4 flights to get to Davao City. What, maybe 28 hours would be like rocket fast. Otherwise, it can be like half a day, depending on layovers and all that. Okay. More time in the Philippines. Well, like anything else, depends on location, where you are. If you have somebody there to meet you, like a Filipina already, that helps make getting around a lot easier, that's for sure. But, I appreciate everybody being here tonight. Yeah, you have pension, 2 businesses, then you may be in a great situation once you can go to the Philippines. Just don't tell her how much money you have until you have to. Especially if someone has already said they love you and they haven't met you, that's a big red flag. God's been good to you, and God is good and always is, even if we don't recognize that sometimes. But I think the Philippines, whether you're older, middle-aged, or even younger, if it's getting so tough for young men to find people, that's why I've been on the bandwagon. Well, go look overseas. Young men have advantages that older men don't have. And some older men have advantages that some younger men don't have. And the women in the Philippines, they're looking for people of all ages. What do you mean, Glenn, by your last comment there? I only made my comment just so that you don't tip your hand so soon. Yeah, go where you're wanted, and that may not be where you are. I mean, she will know eventually, because you have to show proof of ability to provide on your petition if you're going to marry her. Let's say bring her over to your country on a fiance visa or spousal visa. And if it's your wife, you need to be open. But I would be careful to, if you're wealthy, I'd be careful to broadcast that until it, she has a right to know. When you've made a commitment to each other. Yeah, not discussing money with women. Yeah, while dating. Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, a guy could say, well, this will show that I can provide for her. But until you know more about her, it could just give her an open door to be dishonest with you. So that's just always a concern, and keep that in mind when you get smitten by a Filipina someday out there. Yeah, be cautious. When I married my wife, she didn't know what I had until we were getting married. I just showed her the petition that I had started to fill out already, because, well, part of it's just the law. You have to show ability to provide. So I just put everything on there, just make sure they know I can do that. And it's the requirements are very small, but I just put out there, this is where I'm at. And so yeah, be cautious with that. How to Hawaiian in dating context, of course. Yes, very true. And be careful not to get smitten by somebody with a great head tilt or small feet, something like that would get me every time. And I have to be real careful about that. Or a soft voice, dark skin, long black hair. Those are good qualities. They can't make for a good marriage, but we always tend to look for women we are attracted to. But we also have to open our minds up to what is going to be necessary to stay together for the long run. So, gentlemen, thank you for being here tonight. What day is it, by the way? It's Wednesday. Been a very hectic day, so I'm glad I did this. I'm glad you guys participated, and And I thought it would be a fun topic. So many beauties. Well, Glenn, you're gonna have to deal with that in the Philippines. So it could be hard. So if you're looking for somebody, you can always find somebody just a little bit better in some way until you're 80 years old and you can't find a wife. So um, find a good one with good character. There are no perfect people, of course. Wouldn't it be nice? The only perfect person was Jesus Christ, and he was crucified. He was framed. He was murdered, or not framed, but he was falsely accused and murdered. He was perfect. So you're not going to be perfect. She's not going to be perfect. You got to expect some of that. Thank you, How to Hawaiian. Much mahalo. Uh, I wanted to do something here that would be away from the Philippine scene that we can all relate to. We all have attraction to women. Just wanted to talk about which. And love Jesus. Jesus is the creator of the world, the sustainer of the world, the way, the truth, and the life. He came to get married a bride called the church. So marriage, like I said before, is God's idea. It's a divinely inspired act. Yeah, kid in the candy store syndrome. And you guys, I mean, really, you can always just get paralyzed because you have so many beautiful women, and you're not used to that. You're not used to that at all. And they're talking to you, and they're all willing to marry you. It's like, well, who's going to propose to me? And sometimes the guys don't propose. That's why some of these women are so gorgeous and 28, 30 years old, way past their prime in the Philippines because nobody has proposed to them. So that's something I think everybody should do for the betterment of their life. Nothing better than a good woman. Nothing worse than a bad one. So thank you guys for chiming in. I really appreciate your participation. That's what live streams are for. So you guys have a good rest of your week. Till next time. Thanks again for being here. This is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea.